Here's first lure. Try out with the black and red because the color of the water is beautiful, purple. Try that out. Very important to have a nice tight drag. Everything's set just right. Too loose of a drag won't hook the fish. Too tight of a drag usually, once they get way out, ends up ripping the hook out of her mouth. So you try to get it set at, I like the 18 to 20 pound range. Whether it's the wire, which is old school, or the monofilament, which is also old school nowadays. I'm going to set out another side there. You try to have a good count. The whole idea is to get all your lures set up so it looks like a school. You got 2 underneath, 2 on top. And if you got 6 rods, you fish another 2 there on top. So it's like a kind of a diamond-shaped pattern. So that's what we'll try out. Today we're going to start with 3, just test out a new boat, so we'll see what we can do. You guys probably aren't used to seeing the old school star drags. Nowadays you're looking at the lever drags, but for wire line, these reels are the best because they hold up to the corrosion, and they're just low gear ratio helps you be able to crank them in a lot better too. Try and get them set up now where you have the spool back there in just the right pattern, so you get a strike, you're able to get maybe a double or triple out of it. At the moment, like I said, it's a new boat for me, so I'm adjusting to the, you want the clarity of the water. Got a lot of wake back there and whitewash, so you want to be able to adjust for it where need be to get the bites. All right, we're starting now. We got here at about, I guess, 11 o'clock. Not sure what time it is right now, but the outgoing tide just started not too long ago, so we're going to try out in front of Bimini and work our way towards Cat. Because this time of year, a lot of times the bait will get pushed up onto the Cat area or Bimini right out front. So we'll fish the outgoing tide this afternoon, check this area out. And we have a small front coming tomorrow, so if we don't do well here, generally when you get the wind out of the northwest to north, Isaac's is better because it pushes the bait up onto the edge. And then it also will be a late time or late morning bite as well tomorrow. So hopefully it'll work out in our favor in both sections and we'll be a hero today. When you're waiting for a wahoo bite, obviously you can see how fast we're going. You're going to just sit here and be in a daze, and all of a sudden you're going to hear the reel screaming. Because we're going so fast, and when they latch on, it's going to set the hook right away and start screaming. The first thing you want to do is, depending on how good of a boat driver you have, you can either speed up the boat, because generally they'll help you get other strikes as well, or you can have whoever's fishing you run over and start cranking on the opposite rod that's not has fish on it, and just work the rods, because sometimes you just keep going for a little longer, you'll get that second, third, even sometimes a 4th fish. I mean, the most I've ever had on it once myself was 6, and that's just working everything together. That's the whole idea, getting everything zipping through the edge there, and it produces fish, and doubles and triples are not uncommon. Once the fish is on, generally these fish like to run straight out, and depending on which way you turn, they're going to turn the opposite way to head offshore or inshore, depending on which way you're turning. When they're doing that, you want to stay on that rod really good, keeping it tight at all times, because if you don't, sometimes they'll turn around and start racing towards the boat, and they can still shake that hook out, even though at this speed, you would think the hook is set perfectly. And the only time is if it gets hooked in that bone in their roof is when they won't come off. But if they get hooked in the sides, you know as well as I do, they shake their heads enough, make that hole bigger, hook slides right on out. So you want to keep it tight at all times. If you can crank faster, crank faster. If you can't, just take your time. And that's why some of these low gear ratio reels are perfect, because you can only go 1 speed anyways, and it's just generally perfect. I like to start out marking a line where I'm at. So when you start getting bites, you can let it out to the exact same spot at all times. Because once you figure out the spot that the rods need to be, it's very, very important that they go back in the same spot. Even if you're off by 4 or 5 feet, it makes a big difference when you're trying to generate a school back there and get your bites. Every once in a while, you want to make sure that the lures are clean. You know, whether there's weed around, plastic bags, anything that's floating, because sometimes they'll snag on the stuff and create drag. So what I generally do is, like on your rigger baits, you wind them up. Most of the time you can see them pop and see if there's weed on them, but for the lead ones, you can actually feel the difference in weight by pulling on it. If you get really good at it, you fish a lot, you can feel a difference in weight. If it's heavier, obviously it's got weed on it. If it's about the same, it's okay. So that saves on time bringing it out. And if you're doing that, a lot of times, as you know as well I do, you catch fish when bait's in the water. going, keep going! Keep going, double! Start cranking it. Keep cranking at the pump. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Joe DuPont, and today I'd like to teach you the basics of tying up a drift setup for steelhead fishing. Basically, drift fishing is casting out and bouncing some type of bait or a corky along the bottom. It's a very popular technique, and you can catch a lot of steelhead using this technique. Now, there are many different ways you can attach a weight to your line, and I have displayed in front of me several of the different pieces of equipment you can use. So, for example, we have a slider here. And actually the way a slider works is you run your line through the slider, and then you can attach a weight on it. It could be a slinky, or it could be a piece of pencil lead with a hole in it. A very simple type of slider is actually a swivel, where you can actually just put the line right through the swivel here, and then right on the bottom of the snap swivel you can again attach a slinky or a piece of pencil lead. Some people like to use these pre-made three-way swivels here. You can buy them right from the store like this. Then you'd tie the line on here. You'd put a weight on the bottom. In this case, you'd have to use a piece of pencil lead. You can attach different lengths in here depending on how fast the water is and how far you might want to cast. And then on the other side, you just put the hook. A very simple technique is just to run a piece of tube through your line, and then you can just put the weight on the end of it. A very simple, easy way. And then a little more complex way that some people like to use is a three-way swivel. You'd put the line on one end, and then the other end you'd have a dropper coming off. And this kind of lets you adjust how far away the weight you want from your bait. It allows you to fish at different depths if you need to. And then finally, I need to mention the types of hooks or baits that you're going to use on it. For steelhead fishing, you don't have to use real large hooks. A lot of people like to put a little bit of corky on it, and sometimes you use a small corky like this. Here's a double hook setup actually, and the corky is to keep the hook off the bottom so it doesn't snag, and actually might keep it right in front of the fish more. Some people like to tie yarn on their hooks, such as this one here, and they think that when the fish bites it, the yarn can stick to their teeth, which I think can be very effective. If they want the hook again to float off the bottom, they can put different corkies on. There's a lot of different corkies of different sizes and different colors. So if you have a favorite, just go with your favorite. And then some people go with just a straight hook. You can put shrimp on it, you can put an egg on it, you can put a whole lot of different types of baits. So, and usually what I like to do is have about 1.5 feet of line between the weight and the hook, and I like to use a smaller pound test line in case you hook the hook on the bottom. You can break that off without breaking the rest off. So let me show you how to tie up one of the easiest setups that I think is very effective, and I would recommend that people who aren't familiar with this to use this one. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take this short piece of tube. We're going to thread the line through it. And remember, this tube is what the weight's going to attach to. Then I've already set up a barrel swivel on this particular hook here, and all you do is you tie the barrel swivel on to your line here. And what the barrel swivel does is it helps prevent the tube from sliding down to your hook. Then once you have your tube on here and your barrel on here, you can just slide the weight right over it. Again, you can adjust how much weight you want on here based on how fast the water is or how far you might want to cast, how fast you want your drift to occur. Then on the other end of the barrel swivel, you have your line that goes, again, to your hook. So there it is, very quick, very simple, and very effective. Go out there and try it.